Hello, I'm Robert, co-founder, CEO, co-CEO of Zalando. So, what is Zalando? First of all, Zalando, we sell fashion and shoes. We're active in 15 countries in Europe, and we're as young as a schoolboy. So we just recently had our 7th birthday. However, I have to admit, for a schoolboy, we're already quite big. Yeah? So we do roughly about 3 billion in revenues, which is the same amount of revenues as the entire state of the Maldives, which I find personally kind of cool. We have about 16 million customers, so we have about 3 times the population of Finland to get dressed every single year. And we have about 9,000 people that work with us, so we're one of the biggest employers in Berlin. So, but I have to admit, for Scuba, we're very big. And what we do now this year is that we started to completely rethink our business. We completely rethink how we do business. We started from being a fashion retail company, now we become a fashion technology company. So how did it all start? So it all started back in China. So I was invited by an investor to look into business opportunities in China. And what I discovered there in China was a completely different kind of system, how commerce can look like, based on a situation where there's actually no legacies in the market, such as in China. And about 3 days. Actually, on the first day, I asked the fashion man to show me a web shop. What I did, I entered their brand name .tmall.com. And I was a bit confused. I want to see like a web shop. What's like a web shop? And I said, well, this is our web shop. And I said, well, so why don't you have like your webshop.cn, so your brand name.cn? And I said, why should we? There's actually no traffic out there. So in order to be successful as a fashion man in China, you have to pick a platform that you want to be successful in and then focus only on this platform. The second day, I realized how deeply connected already online and offline world is in China. So another fashion man told me that about 70% of their e-com orders were already fulfilled out of their stores. And 90% of these orders were actually fulfilled in the same day because there's a massive local delivery network which actually helped these orders to get fulfilled in the same day. And they told me this is already what the Chinese consumer expects already today. The third day, I learned about a bag lady. So what is a bag lady? So I asked the fashion executive there, and she told me that she has a bag lady. And I asked her, what's like a bag lady? And she told me, well, she has a bag lady. She's connected to a bag lady via WeChat, which is the Chinese version of WhatsApp. And then the bag lady frequently sends her some bags that she might like. And when she orders it, she directly orders it within the instant messaging, and it gets delivered within 3 hours. Only in instant messaging. And I said, okay, why does this bag lady then put you all the bags in there? And she said, well, if I keep that, then the bag lady gets a commission. So it all happens only in instant messaging. So why is this all happening there? And I think like China, what was like my main learning about China is, since China is so extremely connected between these platforms, you have the Tmalls, you have the local delivery, the instant messaging, all is so massively connected that China is already today able to deliver consumer experience which are far beyond anything that we can see here in Europe. So in my 4th day, then I decided, okay, it's time to go back to Europe, time to do your homework. No more dreams about business adventures in China, time to do our homework. So what we did, so we turned Zalando into profitability. That was our homework, and then floated on the German stock exchange, which was a massive IPO. It was one of the biggest tech IPOs in Europe for decades. So it was literally one of the biggest milestones that we had. And then, basically, on the next day, after like our hangover of the IPO was over, then we really started to think about what are like the tough questions here. So the tough questions is, what is happening now in Europe? What can we actually learn from China? What is our role in there? And we gathered the 25 of our most senior executives and literally brainstormed like for 2 months, every single night, okay, what's going to happen? And then we came to a conclusion what really happened there in China. Although there might be like cultural difference between China and Europe, the principles of China will apply as well to Europe. The principle of connectivity. Because once it's a lot more connected, then we're just able to deliver far more better consumer experiences than we can today. It just makes a lot more sense. So think about if like the brands are connected to consumers, if the retailers are connected to logistics networks, if offline and online is connected. If all these kind of things are connected, then the ecosystem can just deliver far more greater consumer experiences. And we at Zalando, we decided that we assume this challenge of creating all this. That we use our home base of being the biggest online fashion retailer here in Europe, now to become an online fashion company that actually provides an operating system for the entire fashion world, that connects all these players. And you know, I love the fashion sector, which I have learned over the last 7 years. I really love it. Yes, it's a huge market. It's like 400 billion euro here in Europe. It has a huge gross margin. But why I really love it is because that everybody needs it. Yeah? Everybody needs it every single day. If I just look around here, nobody has decided today not get dressed. Yeah? Everybody has something on. So everybody needs it. And I take a bet with you, within the next 10 years, if we will meet again, I'm not sure if you still have a car, I'm not sure if you still have a mobile phone, but I'm pretty sure you still won't be naked. But all the rest around fashion will have changed. Will have changed how we got it, where you paid it, all this will have changed. And we as Zalando, we will have had a major impact of how this change will have developed here in Europe the next 10 years. So what do we actually mean with operating system? So just try to explain it by a small consumer example. Imagine that you're surfing on Instagram. Yeah? You touch upon the profile of Pharrell. And you see these lovely yellow sneakers here. And you think, that might be cool to have these. So you get in touch with our operating system, maybe plugged in directly at Instagram. Yeah? And we can tell you, these are the super color, super sneaker from Adidas, costs around 100 euro. And then you think, wow, maybe yellow is not really my color. Is there anything else? Obviously, there's lots of different kind of sneakers in there. So this is the whole range of Adidas super sneaker that exists. Then you fall in love with the blue one. And you say, might be as well very cool to have them like tonight. So is there any option they can get it within the next 35 minutes? Obviously, there's an option. We have just located the blue sneaker in a store about 35 minutes, 20 minutes walk from your mobile location in Adidas original store in Münchstraße. And the good news, we just have reserved it in your size. You just have to pick it up. Then you think, wow, don't really have now the chance now to go there. Is there any different option? Obviously there is. So we just have sent a messenger to pick it up, deliver to your mobile location in like 20 minutes. So wouldn't that be great? Yeah? The Adidas store is happy, you as consumer are happy, delivery guy is happy, the shoe is happy. So if you think about it, in order to make this happen, it's not what one single company can do. It's only what really an ecosystem can do. An ecosystem that enables collaboration between all this, like an operating system where everybody is plugged into. And if you as well think about the tech challenges involved in here. So we need to connect to visual recognition software or to a stylist network that can help to identify the sneaker. We need to get like every single local inventory on fashion in order to know if the sneaker is available. We would need to combine POS systems with last mile delivery services in order to orchestrate the monetary aspect of such a transaction. So huge tech challenges that we have assumed as a company when we decided, like beginning of this year, that we move now towards becoming a fashion technology company, now to create the operating system of the fashion world. And then coming back to reality, beginning of this year, we had already huge tech challenges within our company. We had about 500 software engineers who were working in monolithic software structures. We had basically no time for innovation, quite some waterfall in there. So, but we knew as well, in order to create this operating system, we need to not only hire 200 more engineers, we need about 2,000 more engineers in the next 2 years. So we needed radical change, and we called this change radical agility. So what we did is we had a couple of weeks that we thought about in secret about what we're going to do, and then gathered everybody in one big room. and then basically told them from tomorrow on your work life will be completely different. And I've brought a small video with me so that you see what this event was a little bit about.
Command and control is over. Autonomous teams, supported by trust and purpose.
Now we embrace open platform thinking.
And today, we want to introduce you to radical agility.
So that was the event. So the piece behind radical agility is we just need to find the best software engineers and then get out of their way. Yeah, support them, but don't give them very strict directions. Support them through autonomy, so let them use whatever kind of tools they want. Support them through mastery, so help each one of your engineers to achieve his or her own professional goals in their life. And support them to purpose. Explain them the purpose of the organization, explain them the purpose, the context of the company, so that they can relate their own team purpose around it and their own individual purpose. And finally, and the most important layer is trust. Yeah? Trust in your engineers that they want the best for your company and take the right judgment calls. So then on a practical level, this event meant that we changed completely everything in one single day. So it was very, very risky for us to do this. So no more big teams anymore, just small teams with a name and a purpose. So it changed everything. So, and the results of this, I must say, when we rolled it then out, were just great. So the motivation increased dramatically of engineers, the output increased dramatically, and in terms of applications, so we went up when we had about 200 software applications every single month before radical agility. Now we have about 1,000 every single month. And we only offer 4 to 5% of these a job. So therefore, we have a very, very high level of engineering that we can keep in the company so that we can run radical agility. So and this radical agility has put us now into the place that we now can really make our platform vision become reality. So we are piloting a couple of things already in Berlin. So for example, in Berlin, we pilot the local delivery already. So we managed already to do local deliveries within 3 hours. Not yet the 35 minutes, but I'm very sure we're going to get there as well. What we did as well, we piloted a service called Zalando, which is the service where you as consumer can get in touch with stylists that work from all over Europe, and you get an advice. Yeah, so I need a white tuxedo for a weekend or whatever. You get advice through WhatsApp or through a telephone call, and based on this advice, we assemble a package and then send it to you as consumer. If you keep it, the stylists get a commission. So a couple of these examples how our platform vision now becomes reality. A lot more now to come in the future. So it's a big journey that we have assumed. Yeah, so and we know it's just a tremendous challenge that we have in front of us. But what we know as well that this challenge that we have created is just such a great purpose that unites us all at Zalando. So that we believe that we can shape and improve how the fashion industry will look like in the future. That we can shape and improve how people will get dressed in the future. And there were lots of challenges that we had already in the past, and therefore we're very sure that we will master as well this challenge. So who has ever thought that like 2 university students, like my co-founder and myself, with actually no idea of retail and no idea of fashion, can actually build the biggest online fashion retail company within just 7 years? Who has ever thought that our first logistics center, which looked like this, like a storage room back in our office, and 4 years later turns into the biggest semi-automated run B2C warehouse all across Europe. But what we know as well that this challenge that we just have created is so huge that we as one company cannot solve it alone. So we need lots of partners. So when you're like a fashion company or when you're a retail company that feels passionate about creating such an operating system here, just get in touch with us. So because we need lots of partners that together with us reimagine the entire fashion industry for the good of all, for the good of consumers, for the good of offline retail, and for the good of fashion brands. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Exciting and ambitious, Robert.
Thank you.
But can you be both the platform and the retailer? Isn't there a conflict in there? Doesn't it mean that some of your rivals won't want to cooperate with you?
So we have a strong retail aim, but the way of how I think about it, we as a company we have started to become a retail company because we wanted to solve a consumer problem. Yeah, so we wanted to solve the consumer problem of providing selection on fashion online and delivering it in a great convenience manner, and therefore we just happened to become a retail company because that was the only way of how we could work with fashion brands like back 7 years ago, because we had to assume the inventory risk, put it in big warehouses, and then come out of that. What we now see is that the future challenge that we have based on mobile and based on the digitalization is not that much who takes on the inventory risk, or it's about combining our forces to solve these consumer problems. And therefore we say we don't take inventory risk because we want to be a retailer, we want to do revenues. We take it only because we want to solve the problems. If there's anybody else that wants to take the inventory risk, then happy to do so. Eh?
So is it fair to compare what you're doing with what Uber's doing, which is connecting the demand with the supply and linking the two in real time?
I don't have I think so the basic principles behind it, like platform, obviously matching supply and demand obviously is in there, but I think so our vision is a lot more specific to the fashion industry. So I don't know if it's really like a good comparison.
So what's the ultimate goal?
Well, the ultimate goal is that we actually can deliver superior consumer experience, actually match people with fashion and go through all the frictions in this market. If you think about it, there's like 50% gross margin in the fashion industry, just because there's so many frictions in it with sizing, with finding stuff. Yeah, so that we can improve and make this entire fashion sector so much more efficient, both for consumers and for businesses.
You need to recruit a lot of technical staff then. That sounds incredibly ambitious. How are you going to use those thousands of engineers?
Oh, we have lots of ideas. So we went from, I think, about 500 this year. Now we're about 1,000 software engineers by today. So we're on a quite good track to reach about 1,800 by end of next year. So there's tons of stuff that we're doing. So we are working on the offline stock integration, which is a big and massive technology challenge. We're working a lot on the platform now, working on different mobile apps where we think about different kind of consumer propositions for the fashion industry. There's tons of stuff in there. We just opened a tech center, so a tech technology center in Dublin. We opened a technology center in Helsinki. So there's tons of stuff that we do in these centers.
And you're empowering small groups of people. You've read the Dan Pink book about autonomy, master and purpose. How big are the groups that you give autonomy to?
So we shoot for teams that are about, they like to call it the 2 pizza teams. So like teams that can consume 2 pizzas and then get okay with it. Yeah. So it's probably around like 10 people per team, because we think about, if it's more than 10 people, then the people don't know each other anymore. So like 10 people is like good size where they can easily coordinate without putting big tools in mind.
So you give them a certain creative freedom, but then how do you link together the knowledge from maybe hundreds of small teams?
There's lots of different kind of collaboration between these teams. Yeah, so it has a lot to do with communication between these teams. Yeah, so therefore there's a lot of contextual communication that's actually put on the shoulders of the management teams around it, to actually provide lots of context, to lots of meetups, lots of stand-ups, that everybody is kind of aware what the other teams are doing. But obviously there's lots of inefficiencies that we create in that, but these inefficiencies, they actually then we let ourselves cause these inefficiencies, because just the motivation between these teams is just so much more higher than just creating like one massive monster that tries to coordinate everything. Yeah.
Spotify does something similar. They have small teams. They have tribes, but they also have individuals in each tribe are in a guild, and the guild meets up separately to spread the knowledge. Yeah,
we're doing the same way. So we know the principle of Spotify, so there's some similarities how we do it.
Well, it's an ambitious vision. It's challenging everybody here's assumption of what Zalando is. It's not a place that you buy your shoes. It's a platform that has even more ambitions. Thank you very much for joining us, Robert Gentz.